What is up, guys? Welcome back to this week's video. This week, I want to talk about my audition for the Disney College program's character performer position. I went last Saturday to the auditions in Atlanta. It was at like 2 p.m. I think, and I went there to Atlanta from here in North Carolina and back in the same day. So that's what we're going to talk about this week, the whole process, what all I went through, the friends I made, and yeah, let's just get into it. Okay, so for those of you who may be wondering, what is the Disney College program? It's sort of like an internship that college students are able to apply to in order to get like credit, internship credit and such while they're in college. And you sort of just go to Disney World or Disneyland, whichever Disney park they put you at, and you work a job there. You work basically a full-time job, 40 to 50 hours a week. You can get housing there, you can do whatever. You can get off-site housing, so there's a lot of options for it, and I have been accepted and will be going this May to the Disney College program. I am in the quick service food and beverage department right now, which means I could be serving ice cream, I could be in a restaurant somewhere doing something. There's a lot of different jobs in that realm, but I went out this past Saturday to sort of audition for the character performer position. So character performers can be lookalikes, you could be a face character, you know, like a Jack Sparrow, you could be friends with Pluto in the big costume. There's so much that you can do in the character performer position, and yeah, I went out on Saturday and auditioned. So here I'm gonna explain sort of the process that we went through. So I left very, very early morning and drove down to Atlanta with my mother. It was awesome, fun little road trip. And what happened when I first got to this, it was in a dance studio. It was in a really nice dance studio, and there were about 200 people there. Now, 180 of those people were girls and about 20 of us were guys. So there's quite the difference there. This is probably gonna be different than what you see for a lot of girls who go and audition, because there's definitely a difference in what they expect from girls to guys there. The Disney look is different, the height needs are different, but you are doing the same audition. They're giving you the same prompts, they're giving you pretty much the same dances. It's all very the same, but they're looking for different things. So basically, I show up at this dance studio and there are probably 50 people in front of me getting there, or we're all waiting in line. And then there's, you know, like another 100-something people behind me as we're just all standing here waiting to go in. I end up talking to a whole bunch of people in line. I mean, everybody's there for the same thing. You all have a lot of things in common. Now, what did we do? My number was 62. So I walk up, talk to this really, really sweet lady. Her name was Anne Marie, I believe. She was super sweet. She gives me my number. I go inside, I start stretching, and then I sit down on the floor and wait. And we wait, and we wait, and we wait. So in the time that we're waiting in this dance studio, I'm talking to people, I'm making some friends, and sort of getting some connections going here. Now, I'm number 62, and they were doing the auditions in 50s, so there are 4 groups, and I'm in the second group. So they take 1 through 50, and they go audition, come back, we get to watch. We literally get to watch as the people that have to leave, because they're doing cuts in different stages. So we watched as, you know, about 10 to 12 people come back into the room, or maybe it was around 20, come back into the room and sit down while the other like 30 or so people just grab their stuff and leave. They have been cut. So that was a little intimidating at first, and I didn't even know what I was getting myself into yet. So it's my turn with my group, and we get up and start heading into the other studio. There's like a bunch of different rooms, so we're heading into the actual audition room. And there's the casting director, there are dance instructors, there's a whole bunch of staff members in there, and I'm just like sitting there freaking out because I've never danced before. I wouldn't really consider myself a dancer, but I knew I can nail the animation segments. You know, I feel like I can sort of express myself like that. So I was like, okay, just gotta nail the animation segments. We got it. There nothing, as long as I can do horrible on the dance. As long as I can do the animation segments, they'll want me for something. So I go in there, I'm standing next to these 2 guys that I met in line, whose names are slipping my mind, but that's okay. I'm standing next to them, and we are sort of just stretching, getting ready. Everybody's sort of standing around waiting for the casting director to start talking, to which after about a minute, he goes up to the front of the room and he explains, okay guys, these are my 2 instructors, and we're going to have you guys sort of just listen to them follow what they're doing. First up is the animation segment, and then we'll get into the dance portion. So everybody thought the dancing was first, and then they did the animation first, and everybody's like, what? What's going on? Because most of us in there had watched like YouTube videos and things like this on what was going to go on at these auditions, but none of us had like really ever attended. So we're all getting ready for the animation portion, and the casting director or the instructors say that we will be acting as Toy Story characters. And so I've always wanted to be a Green Army Man, and I kid you not, it was the funniest thing. They give us a few minutes to sort of plan what we're gonna do, and we get to go over a couple practice rounds before we actually do it in front of the casting director. So I kid you not, I like had my like little gun, and I pretended. I know at Disney World the Green Army Man's feet aren't stuck together. You know, they're walking pretty normally in the parades and stuff. But I pretended my feet were planted and stuck on the ground, and I hopped like a dumb idiot. And it was the funniest thing. I kid you, it was so funny. I had some people to the side laughing because they saw me just hopping around like a Green Army Man. So that was a lot of fun. Now we move on. We kind of split into two groups, and each of us took turns doing the animation segment, half and half of the room. And then we moved on to the dancing. And it's gonna be hard for me to talk about the dancing because the dancing was really hard on me. Now, it wasn't anything that should have been hard, but I think I psyched myself out of it because I was freaking out so much about having to dance. We started off with like a song, and we had to do a parade march, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't like repeat the dance for you right now, but it was like 4 steps forward, a jazz square, a grapevine, and like a twirl or something like that. And for some reason, my head was like, okay, do this. And I grew up doing marching band, and so, you know, dancers start off with their right feet when they go forward. Kids in marching band start with their left foot. So I kept starting off with my left foot, and that's what kept throwing me off, because when I got to the jazz square, I was already on the wrong foot. Now, if that was reversed, I would have nailed this. I would have had it in the bag. But that's not how it works in the dance studio. So I messed up the jazz square every time we did it, and then nailed the grapevine and the twirl. But I messed up that jazz square every single time. And that's because I started with my left foot. But no big deal. It's time for cuts. Back up. After we practiced those both a couple of times, they split us into groups, and we walked in groups of 5 forward and did the routine twice. We had to animate for like a minute and do a crazy thing. I was a Green Army Man hopping around, and that's when everybody got to see me and be like, ha, he's doing something stupid. And then we did the dance like 3 times. And man, I sucked. But it's okay, because it's time for cuts, and cuts were rough. I looked at the girl that was next to me, and I said, it was nice knowing you, because I was positive that there was no way I was gonna stay in this room. Well, I was wrong, because they counted off the numbers. They say, if they say your number, we want you to stay. If we don't say your number, we're very sorry, but it's time for you to leave. So they go off from 51 to 100, and 51, 53, 57, 60, 61. Oh, I hope they say 62. I hope they 62. Heck yeah. Sadly, the girl who was sitting next to me, who actually nailed a lot of the movements and did really, really well, I thought, they did not say her number, and she had to leave. So, but we didn't dwell on that, because those of us who got to stay talked to the casting director and then went back in the room to get measured and sign some papers. So we went in the other room. They took our heights. They checked for our like tattoos and such. So I have a tattoo right here on my arm. They looked at that, and then they had us fill out some forms and stuff with just general descriptions and such of ourselves. So that was cool. And then we sat there for about 2 hours. Now, following this, once they had done all the rest of the cuts, there was about 60 of us left. So we went from about 200 people down to about 60 after this first round. And everybody's freaking out, but we're all really happy, because once you get to the second round, there's no guarantee you're not gonna get the job, but there's no guarantee you're gonna get the job. So you're sort of in limbo. Now, the second round was different. Something that we sort of had to do this time was, it was the same animation, except we were pretending to be Monsters, Inc. characters this time. We had to pretend to be like a monster sneaking into rooms and scaring kids or making kids laugh. And so I chose to be the guy with the tentacles that like blah, 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 runs towards the camera or whatever. Man, that was dumb. But he does like this, and so I had my arms out and I was doing these crazy arm movements, running around and walking. I had him like do his arms and like pick a lock with his tentacles and then reach in and open the door and then like slither in. So I was doing some fun things with that. And the animation portion, I believe this time also went very, very well. But then they split us into groups again to dance. Now the second dance started off really, really good, but it ended really, really difficult for me. And there was one other dude who was about a head taller than me who was also struggling about the same amount. And the dance instructor said, you guys do the alternative moves. We're not looking for professional dancers here. We're looking for who can dance for these roles and who cannot dance for these roles. Or if you have like the opportunity to learn it all. So I feel like I learned a lot while doing this process, but I was in no way a good dancer. There were people, it didn't matter what you looked like, because some people who were like way bigger or way skinnier or whatever, they had the dance skills. I did not have the dance skills, but it was still fun. It was an experience. The dance routine was much, much longer, and it had some of the same moves. It had some different ones. They had guys and girls separate this time, so I was with 14 guys that were left. I forgot to mention that. There were 14 guys left at the end of this, and about like 50 or so girls still left. So it's quite competitive, just depending on what they're looking for. If they're not looking for someone with your measurements, you're probably not gonna get to stay. Oh man. So we get to the final little bit, which means basically we're gonna go in there, we're gonna do the dance routine, which we got to do first this time. So we're gonna dance, we're gonna do the whole routine twice. So it's quite long, and my nerves were already worked up too bad at this point, and I bombed the dance portion. It was so bad. Now, I did my best to like keep up. I did certain moves, you know, some moves I nailed, some moves I didn't, like wasn't able to do because I forgot. But it wasn't good. All the guys in there, I'd say, even the guy who wasn't that great were still, I'd say, better than me. Now, after this, we did the animation portion, and I still feel like I did pretty good on this. I was my tentacle guy and I was scaring kids, and it was really fun, and I feel like I, lowered myself down in the proper way and expressed myself pretty well. I had some good facial expressions going on. So, again, the animation portion did not suck. I thought I did fine on that. But the dancing was not that great, and I'm not going to dwell on that anymore, because I know I've said I sucked a lot, but you get the picture. Now, the casting director did reassure us at the end of this, like, hey, just because you're not a great dancer doesn't mean you can't be a character. It doesn't mean that at all. So at this point, afterwards, he was asking certain people who were really strong dancers to stay back for a third round of like advanced dancing where they do another one, and then he let the rest of us leave. When I left, like 4 or 5 groups of people had gone, and only 2 people were sitting there to stay back for round 3. So it's not like a whole bunch of us were like getting cut, more so that they didn't want us to stay for the dance, but that those people got an opportunity to stay longer for a dancing routine again, which is cool with me. Not looking for that kind of role anyways. So to sum it all up, I don't know if I'm accepted or denied yet. I will update whenever that happens, but it's really a toss-up right now. I don't know. I feel they did, I forgot to mention this, but they measured all of the guys, not all of the girls. They took my shoulders, my chest, and my waist, and on top of, our heights and everything. So yeah, they measured every single one of us, so they must be looking for something very particular in the men. So if they're looking for a specific physique, I feel like I might be able to fill in a role for that. I know there are certain characters that you can be friends with that would fit my height and build requirements, so fingers crossed for that. If not, I will still be at Disney this year as quick service food and beverage. Who knows what's gonna happen? Either way, I'll be a cast member for Disney. And yeah, that was my audition process. If you guys liked what you saw this week, leave a like and subscribe down below. I will be vlogging most of my Disney College program, which will start in May. Until then, you can come back and stay up to date on my college survival guide videos, anything music that I'm talking about, anything I'm coming in for. So don't worry about that. If you guys like what you saw, leave a like and subscribe down below, or click one of these videos and just check it out. Check out the rest of the channel. Thanks for watching, guys.